12 years ago or so, I started feeling like I needed to go live on the streets. Yeah, so you file 13 that thought, right? As soon as you get it, you're like, no. And then it came and it hit me again. Yeah, you're supposed to go be homeless. And I'm going, oh man, I got 5 kids, a wife. I mean, this is, no. And I tossed it away again. And then the third time that it hit me, I went and I told my wife. And I got to tell you, I would have exercised more caution had I known how abrupt her response was going to be. I'm just like, hey, God's telling me I'm supposed to go live on the streets. And she's like, I don't think so. I think she even had a head wagon. And I was like, I hadn't seen that from her before. I'm like, whoa. And she said, I think God's going to tell me if you're going to go live on the streets. And so I remember I wanted to argue, and I thought, no, I'm not going to argue right now. That's not a good idea. And so that night, I was reading a book to her called Crazy Love by Francis Chan. And literally, we were at this point in the book, I turned the page and immediately start reading about the story he's telling of a guy who went and lived homeless on the streets. Of course, tears just streamed down her face. And the next day, I was up and out. Nothing but just the clothes on my back. But one of the most important things was my dinner with Ralph. Ralph's a homeless guy. I knew Ralph very well. And he had a brown bag with a sandwich in it that had been cut in two. And he said, James, do you want half of my sandwich? Now, all I'd had that morning was a donut from Salvation Army. I hadn't eaten anything else, and I was hungry. But the first thought that came into my mind was, heck no, Ralph, I'm not going to take your sandwich. I know you. You're the guy. I've always been helping you for years. I'm not going to. But I was hungry. So I took the half a sandwich. We sat on the curb, 2 homeless guys. And I ate that sandwich with them. It was like some invisible pretense or facade that I didn't even know was there kind of melted away, like it was just washed away. And I realized for the first time I had been viewing people all wrong. I'd been viewing people coming in our doors as folks who were just the ministry, and I'm the minister, right? I hadn't viewed Ralph as someone who could help me, bless me, or even in this particular case, feed me. I've been viewing him wrong. So I want to ask you the question, how have you been viewing the poor? You guys ever pass somebody who's holding a sign at the corner? So this is a real sign. This is Kenny's sign right here, okay? So it says, hungry, blessed are you, right? So I want you to imagine Kenny's in the median. He'd probably be in a median with the sign this small, right? People coming up to the stop sign. You're coming up to the stoplight and he's holding this out, right? Somebody comes up beside you and they're in a different kind of car with a different kind of look, and he looks over and he sees him and he flips it upside down. So now it's like, hey, I got food stamps, I'll sell them to you half price. Right? Like, hungry, blessed are you, but hey, food stamps half price if you're interested. Or maybe the person who pulls up beside you just looks like that super compassionate, sappy-hearted individual, and so he just pops this open. He says, hey, when you're cold and cast out, wet 28 days, it's been like this for me, right? Or maybe the person who pulls up beside you is actually somebody who looks like a business person, just wants the facts, don't mess with me, so he just opens it up like this, and he says, look, hey, I'm traveling, I've lost my ID, okay? Right? Now, I'm not sure how you might have been viewing Kenny the moment that you pulled up at that stoplight, but I would hope that after you see that he's crafted 4 different messaging types on one 12-inch by 12-inch piece of cardboard, you might think we should view him a little bit differently. That's what we need to do. Instead of looking at people and thinking, gosh, look at all the dysfunction and the poverty and the brokenness and the inability, we should be looking at people and wondering, what is the ability and the capacity and the potential in that person? So that's the work of our True Charity initiative. And what a sad thing that in all of our efforts and our policy of trying to close the gap of inequity, we may be inadvertently driving a greater wedge in the relationships that should exist between the haves and the have-nots. My hope is that True Charity could lay the foundation for a future. I want want you to join me in this vision. Lay the foundation for a future when neighbor is helping neighbor before the state helps your neighbor. Because I believe that's the way God wants it.